Hey there, ink fans. Brian Goulet here from gouletpens.com. Previously did a video on the blue inks that you must try, where I featured more conventional inks and the water-resistant ones. What I learned putting that video together was that there are way too many amazing blue inks, and there are some with some wilder qualities to them. So I gathered up a bunch of these really cool blues that you just don't really find anywhere else, though this list is going to be a bit more adventurous than the first one. Let's just go ahead and kick off this list with a banger. Organic Studio Nitrogen. Now, this is one of the most popular blue inks that we carry, and I honestly don't know if that's because everyone just loves the color that much, or if it's because it almost has this like legendary status now. So here's the deal. It's a stunning deep blue ink with a super intense red sheen. Seriously, I don't know what is happening with this ink that makes it sheen so hard, but it is unstoppable. It's also sort of notorious to use. The dry time seems to be eternal with this ink, especially if you use it on a very ink-resistant paper. It'll smear if you just touch it or even look at it. If you get it on your hands, it'll find its way onto light switches and door handles and maybe even your pets if you aren't aware of just how much it can smear. It's also kind of a chore to clean out of your pens, especially demonstrator pens. That sheen just loves hanging out in your pen, especially on your feed. But as much fuss as this ink is, it's all worth it because you just don't see an ink like this every day. It is just so cool. Diamine Blue Velvet. Diamine has so many amazing blues. I could make several videos just with that brand. Blue Velvet to me though is one that stands out, and it's kind of like a less dramatic version of nitrogen. It performs well on a pen, it's not a real chore to clean out or to write with, and you still get that nice deep blue with a pretty heavy red sheen. Also the bottle's pretty cool looking. You get that like cheese wedge or cake slice kind of look. So if nitrogen seems to be a bit extra to you, you should try Blue Velvet. Colorverse Witch by Starlight. So I'm gonna be a bit biased on this one because it is a Goulet Pens exclusive that we developed with Colorverse. But legit, it is a cool ink. Now this one's gonna be the darkest color on this list. More of like a midnight blue that almost leans purple. And what makes it really cool though is the rose gold shimmer in it. You lay this stuff down heavy and the ink will just absolutely shine. It is pretty darn cool. Diamine Jack Frost. So I have a soft spot for these vibrant blues with red sheens, and there are a number of good ones out there. A popular one is Diamine Polar Glow, which, came in from their Inkvent calendar. That one's pretty popular, so I wanted to highlight one that is similar but lesser known, Jack Frost. It's also an Inkvent ink, which has a really cool looking bottle. But this also has some blue shimmer in it. Now because it's blue shimmer in a blue ink, the shimmer isn't like super loud, but I think it just adds a really great dynamic to the color. It also has a pretty decent dry time, which you wouldn't expect with an ink with this many properties. Ferris Wheel Press Glistening Glass. I'm sure I'll probably regret putting this one on the list because it's part of Ferris Wheel Press's Fairy Tales collection, which is limited. But it's a unique color and I wanted to highlight it. And also it just brings attention to Ferris Wheel Press's inks because they have a bunch of them and they're making more all the time, especially these shimmering ones like this. Now Glistening Glass is a slate gray, so it's a bit more subdued and desaturated than many of the other blues on this list. But what that does is it allows the gold shimmer to really stand out, and it has some really interesting effects when you use it on ink-resistant paper. Now, while this ink probably won't be around all that long, I still think it's worth trying it out if you can get your hands on it. Noodler's Baystate Blue. Okay, so going back to a much more well-known ink, we have Baystate Blue. Now this has a legendary status just like nitrogen does, except this one's been around longer. This ink is formulated differently than most other fountain pen inks. It's absolutely wild in its color. It just doesn't do justice on a video here. You have to see this in real life. It's just absolutely electric, a very bright and vibrant blue like nothing else. It also has a reputation for being hard to clean out of a pen. And while many have struggled with it, it's mostly because the formulation of this ink is unique. You have to clean it differently than you do with other inks. Baystate Blue will appear like it wants to stick in your pen and never come off, but the secret is it doesn't clean with soap or ammonia like most inks do. It cleans with bleach. Dilute household bleach about 10 to 1 and it'll just clean relatively easily out of your pen. Or you can just do what a lot of people do and just dedicate a cheaper pen as their Baystate blue pen, and you don't have to worry about cleaning it out very much. Sailor Manyo. Haha. Sailor has been coming out with a whole assortment of multi-tonal inks, which vary and shift in color depending on the paper used. Most of these types of ink are in their Manyo collection, and the standout color is Haha. It's a beautiful color, or I guess group of colors. It's a lighter sky blue with accents of pink, teal, and maybe a little bit of purple. The more ink resistant the paper and the more ink you put down, the more dramatic that these colors are going to show. It's not going to be a universally appealing everyday writing ink, but it's really unique and it's fun to play with and just kind of see what happens. Sailor Dipton Ice Dance. All right, so this is the last one on the list, and I'm taking a little bit of a swing. Full disclaimer, Sailor says that this ink is in their Dipton line, which they promote with their dip pens, not fountain pens. Sailor's official recommendation is that this ink only be used with dip pens. That said, to my knowledge, there's nothing chemically in the ink that is incompatible with fountain pen use. I think Sailor might just be playing it a little bit safe since there is shimmer in here, and they're kind of newer to the shimmer game. Even if you only use this ink with a dip pen, it's still worth trying because it's crazy looking. It's blue with silver shimmer as well as iridescent shimmer. So you get a color shifting effect with the shimmer that just looks wild when you put a bunch of it down. You can check out all of these inks and many others on gouletpens.com. In fact, we've gone ahead and put together an ink sample package set with all of these colors already in there so you can try out the whole list and not have to hunt around for them. Thank you so much for watching, and write on.